Hey guys, what's going on? Mike the Caveman Q here again, Paleo Problem Long Island, MikeTheCaveman.com. And today's question is, which is better, a low carb or a low fat diet? And the answer is, it's up to you. Because each of you are your own unique little snowflakes. Now we talked about this a little bit in our Are Carbohydrates the Enemy video. And I actually did an article on it last year titled, A Song of Fats and Carbohydrates, Does It Really Matter Who's King? And I'll link to that in the description. But the thing is, each of you has your own unique metabolic needs, and you may do well on a low carb or a low fat diet. Now, as you know by now, I generally lean towards the low carb end. I personally do better with it, and I see more results overall working with clients. However, that does not mean that low carb is the only way to go. Low fat potentially has some awesome benefits as well. If you take a look at that article, I summarized some of the work of Denise Minger in an article she did shortly the year before. And the fact of the matter is that while on the super low carb end you have ketosis, on the super low fat end there's something that doesn't really have a name yet, but she termed it carbosis. When you drop your fat below 10%, something magical happens. Now, in that article I kept a Game of Thrones theme, and I'm going to do the same here. So, on the low fat end, you have the land's always winter. You know, you're pretty miserable. On the low carb end, you have the Shadowlands. And those are on the two ends of Planetos, you know, the world of ice and fire. So those two spectrums are where the magical things happen. You know, there's dragons and there's ice monsters. Yet in the middle, where everything else is, that's where things get a little bit squirrely. So what happens when you keep our carbs and our fat high? Well, that's when disease states start to happen. If you keep your fat and your carbohydrates too low, disease states start to happen. Now, I understand the classic bodybuilding model is low fat, low carb, but that's for a very short window for contest prep. Let's keep that clear. You don't want to be there for too long because you're going to throw off your hormones and you're going to throw off everything. So both too high, you have a problem. When they're both too low, we have a problem. So we want to be in one of the magical lands. You know, the Shadowlands and the land's always winter. You don't want to be in the middle. Now, that being said, this is where there's that N=1 self-experimentation. You need to figure out what works for you. I found for myself that I work better on the lowish carb end. However, that might not be the same for you. If you have adrenal or thyroid issues, you probably want to keep your carbs a little bit higher. But if you're on the other metabolic end and you have things like diabetes or cancer or neurodegenerative diseases, then you're going to want to keep it on the low carb end, the ketosis end. So there is something magical, something therapeutic happening on both ends. Now, that's where things start to really get interesting because there are now products on the market called exogenous ketones. I'd first heard about them through Dominic D'Agostino. He's a researcher who's down at the University of South Florida in Tampa, and he's been examining the role of exogenous ketones in cancer and in improving performance with Navy SEAL. That's where it actually started. He's also looked into the prevention of seizures, and there's a lot of incredible research on these exogenous ketones. Now, we'll talk more about them on a different video. I think in the next couple of days we'll bring it up a little more. But the whole idea on the exogenous ketones is you're going to get the benefit of the ketosis while still being able to eat carbs. So you may actually get to live in that middle. Now, I'm not saying that the exogenous ketones are the blanket cure for everything. We talk all the time about why drugs, supplements, pills aren't the answer to everything. But these may allow you to increase your carbohydrate load, yet still get a lot of the benefits of a low carbohydrate diet. In that case, what I would do is I would keep my carbs peri-workout. We've talked about that before too. But you keep your carbs around the workout. That way, you can keep it a lowish carb, but you take the exogenous ketones beforehand, and then you get the benefits of refueling your glycogen stores, as well as having circulating ketones in your blood. So, you get the best of both worlds. You get both magic ends. So, your biggest takeaways for today are that it really doesn't matter who's king. It doesn't matter whether it's Daenerys or Jon Snow. It really doesn't matter. You can go either way. Go low fat or low carb. But you gotta pick one. From a theoretical standpoint and from a practical standpoint, from what I've seen in my experience, the lower-ish carb works a little bit better, but you're gonna have to pick one and probably lean towards that, but you have to see for yourself. It's all up to how your body reacts. Now, the use of exogenous ketones will change things up a little bit, change the game to the point that maybe we can increase our carb loads, particularly from fibrous non-starchy vegetables and resistant starch, so cooked and cooled and other resistant starches, as well as taking those exogenous ketones to make up the difference. So, a lot of really cool stuff. We're going to talk about that a little more in a couple of days, but for now, eat some real food. That's always the biggest takeaway. All right, guys, hopefully that helped you out. You know what to do. Like and subscribe down below. Share it with your friends. Head over to Instagram and Twitter and follow me at Mike the Caveman, over on Facebook at Paleo Problem Long Island, and of course over at MikeTheCaveman.com. That being said, have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy the sun. It probably will be gone soon, so enjoy it. Go eat some real foods. I'll see you tomorrow.